When Albert Einstein discovered the profound relationship between mass and energy in 1905, captured in the now famous equation E equal mc squared, he could not have foreseen how it would be one day be used to unleash unimaginable destruction. In 1946, rippling with the consequences, Einstein wrote, "The unleashed power of the atom has changed everything except our thinking." In the same article, Einstein said that while the world has been transformed by the atom, the way we think about ourselves and the way we act towards one another have not kept pace, leaving us more and more vulnerable to violence, closer and closer to another global catastrophe. In our daily life, we often find ourselves in search for success and happiness. After all, isn't it the reason that we are looking and trying so hard? Ultimately, how do we even find peace when everywhere we look seems to suggest that life is chaotic and full of uncertainty? Over the years, whenever I find myself needing some direction in life, I would remind myself of a story. Almost 20 years ago, one morning, while I was on my way to work, driving to San Francisco on Highway 280, suddenly I had this strong feeling, a feeling so strong that as if there was a voice saying, "Cassie, it's time to go to China, like right now." "That's crazy," I said to myself. "What a random thought." So during the rest of my drive, I tried my very best logic, reasoning with myself that it is nonsense because I had just gotten married, moved to California, and started this new job in San Francisco. But no matter how hard I tried to reason with myself, for the rest of that day, I just could not have peace. This thought, this voice, seemed to get stronger and stronger as I tried to silence it. So when I finally got home, I told my husband, Dan, "You know what? I think God is telling me to move to China, like right now." And you know what my husband said? I thought he would agree with me and said, "What a crazy thought." But instead, he said, "Let's go then." So we quickly set up a nonprofit called Love for the Poor, sold everything we had, and got our one-way tickets to China. As we arrived, we found a baby that was being used by a group of beggars. This baby, as you can see, has a very big head. She had a very serious condition called hydrocephalus, and without a surgery, she would not live very long. This abandoned baby looked so sad and miserable that the beggars made quite a lot of money by putting her at the busiest shopping area in the city. When I saw this baby, I thought, wow, the most difficult part would be to persuade the beggar leader to let me help the baby. But I was so wrong. After persuading the beggars to let me help the baby, our real challenges had just begun. For I painfully realized that no hospital or doctors would agree to do the surgery. They all thought it was a waste of time and money, and they would try to convince me by saying, "First, this baby is abandoned even by her own parents. Why are you wasting your time and money on a baby that is not even yours? But when they found that I was not convinced, they would say, second, did you look at her CT and MRI? Her brain is completely damaged by the water, and even with a successful surgery, she would still become a vegetable. That means that she would never be able to walk or talk. She would be simply breathing, taking up space. Are you willing to carry this burden for the rest of your life? So you see, I could persuade the beggars, but I could not persuade the doctors. Then someone told us that there is a hospital in Shanghai that might be able to help. But because the baby had no ID, we could not fly. So my poor husband and I took a 44-hour train, no high-speed train back then, to Shanghai. But alas, it was all the same. The doctors would not operate on her. By then, we had already spent most of our money and we were at a dead end. At this point, it would be totally reasonable to give up. For the truth of the matter is that if I give up right now, no one would care. No one really cares if this baby lives or dies. So my logical mind was telling me that if I would just give up right now, no one in this world would blame me for this, that it is totally reasonable to stop this mission right now. But it was at this critical moment, at this profoundly painful moment, or I would even call it the dark night of the soul, that this voice came back to me again. And this voice said, Cassie, if you were this baby, would you want someone to stand by you, to never give up on you, and to always believe in you, that you matter, no matter what the whole world says? And my answer is yes, that if I were this baby, I would want someone to see that I am here, that my life has meaning, and I have tremendous potential that no one has ever dreamed of. So I decided to do something interesting. After taking another 44-hour train ride back to Kunming, I decided that the baby and I would now live at the hospital. Every day, I stood at the neurosurgeon's office telling the doctors that I am not here to argue with anybody, but I would not leave until the baby receives her surgery. 6 weeks later, the doctors agreed to do the surgery. Today, Grace is a loving, humorous, and passionate young lady of 19 years old.
Know what to do with him.
Oh, he's a funny guy, Grace, huh?
Yes.
Not only does she now speak 3 different languages, but she often travels with her adoptive family to different prisons in Europe to encourage inmates who have given up on life. She shares with them, I once was a beggar on the street, but God saw me and picked me up. And you know what? After the surgery, we took baby Grace to an international church, and an American woman walked up to us, looked at the baby, looked at us, and asked, Where did you get this baby? And I said, It's a long story, but in short, I found her on the street, and she's with us now. And do you know what she said? She said, I know, because a few months ago I saw this baby on the street. She looked so miserable that I felt so bad for her. But I do not speak Chinese, so I just walked past her. But I just felt so bad that I decided to walk back, laid my hand on her, and prayed, God, send someone. Please send someone to rescue her. And from that day on, I woke up every morning to pray for her. When all is said and done, I am sharing this story because I want you to know that in the final analysis, I did not save the baby, but this voice, this inner voice did. Today, the voice of God is still very much alive, and all we need to do is to be still and listen, then do what needs to be done. Baby Grace opened my eyes to see that success is a personal thing, that you are successful when what you think, what you say, and what you do are aligned with what you believe, and a peace that surpasses understanding will come. In War and Peace, Tolstoy wrote, "Love gets in the way of death. Every single thing I understand only because I love. Love is God, and we are all tiny particles of love." Now, imagine what we could do together if we combine Tolstoy's thoughts with Einstein's, that the unleashed power of love can change everything, because we have changed the way we see ourselves and the way we act towards one another. That the time has come for us to realize that we are not human beings, but conscious particles of love. Armed with this unshakable faith and unconditional love, let us transform ourselves and become an atom for peace, unleashing a force that is so powerful that the whole world will come together and find peace. See you next time.